Hello everybody and welcome to the IMB World Series League's GT3 Championship Round 5 here this evening from Zolder. We've gone from the wide open expanses of Le Mans and an endurance round 1 week ago to the tight and twisty nature of Zolder here in Belgium today. We're back to sprint racing and feature racing as well. 25 minutes for this first race coming up in a few moments time. Race 2, 50 minutes long a little bit later with a reverse grid as well. Back to the more familiar format for this series here tonight. It should be an interesting one. The tight chicanes and the difficult nature of this circuit, the slow speed nature of it sometimes as well, is going to provide some interesting challenges for the drivers here this evening, and we're very much looking forward to it. Glad to have you with us. My name is Ewan O'Leary. I'm alongside David Christie here this evening. David, it's great to have you alongside me once again here in this series. Back to the familiar format, maybe an unfamiliar circuit to many.
It really is, including myself. It's one that I don't really have a lot of experience with, which is great because it means that I don't really have too much of an opinion either way about it, although it does appear to be a bit of a chicane city, which is going to be great for our lot. It reminds me a little bit of like a sort of full-length Imola in terms of the amount of chicanes that you've got around the circuit here. But listen, I think a lot of these guys are going to be looking forward to getting that break week next week, Ewan, and getting a little bit of respite, because it's been a decent season. It's been a very, very hectic season so far. But yeah, they've got to navigate this twice tonight in the traditional format.
Yeah, we're going to be at the halfway stage by the end of this round, and so we will get a break week after this one to just relax a little bit before the next round at Monza. But yeah, it is going to be an interesting one, and you can compare it to Imola, I suppose, in terms of chicanes. But I have to say, Imola flows a bit better than this in terms of the way it drives. But there we are. Let's have a look at the championship standings as we move forward with this one, because it's starting to become relevant. Oh, okay, we'll do that a bit later. It seems race one's coming up very soon with the first 25 minutes. But I can tell you, it's very interesting in the championship at the moment. We've got it's very, very close. In seasons past, David, we've had real runaway winners or runaway leaders in the championship, even at this stage. But we can tell you it's very, very close between all of the contenders, and that can only be a good thing for us as we look forward to the second half of the season.
It certainly is. That's what you want. It's what our spectators want. And I think it's what the drivers want as well. You don't want to be halfway into the season and realise it's done and dusted, or you do not have a chance, because that's what ends up making, towards the end of the season, drivers drop out and they just go and do something else instead. From memory, I think it's only like, 4 points between 3 cars at the top of the championship. So, yeah, very, very close indeed. And, yeah, really, really interesting stuff. And this is what makes it so exciting as well, because as we see from the WSL, it's a lot of the same names that we see from the different championships, but there's always new ones coming in as well. So we get to learn about the driving styles of the traditional I'm not going to say traditional drivers, but the more established drivers. But yeah, let's see what happens tonight.
Absolutely. Starting with the grid, of course, it's Jason Dilworth taking his first pole in the IMB World Series GT3 Championship, and that's a good thing for him alongside Stuart Reynolds. Cardiel will be third ahead of John Williams, with Hakan Lidmo and Chris Chatterton sharing row 3. Harry Rules will be 7th and Taylor Lane will be 8th. Neither of those actually got a qualifying time in on the board. Louis Boubier was 3rd overall, and he'll be on pole in the Pro-Am standings ahead of Ivo van der Linden in the 2nd place. Timothy Vanderbroek will be 3rd alongside Simon Dodge, with Dean Timms rounding out the top 5 and Jim Breitenbach joining him on row 3. Francois Pertrau will be 7th alongside Stuart Winers. It will be Thomas Pugh and Marcel Breitenbach inside the top 10. Mark Fleming will be 11th in the Pro-Am standings. And in the Am standings, it was a top 5 overall and a pole position for Semban Ruler. Jorn Polonus with a good early lap time to get himself up into 2nd. James Slates will be 3rd alongside Matthias de Groot. Then it's Tony van der Linden and Kurt van Hoornacker. Jeroen Reigns and Carl Pearce are on row 4. Archie Lands and Lorenzo de Hoor will be sharing row 5. Then it will be Jarmo Sastamoinen to round out the 11 AM drivers there. We are not too far away from getting this first race underway here. You can see the formation lap is very much underway right now. but roughly 10 cars in each of the categories, including only 8 in the pros right now as well. And given the fact that the classes are always split here off the start, hopefully we'll get a clean start here this evening. But you never know what's going to happen. I'm hoping, though, that the sort of flowing nature and the fast nature of the opening few corners might just help us out a little bit with regards to getting people off the line and getting people through lap 1 cleanly.
Well, I'm not wanting to jinx it with the commentators' cars here, Ewan, but I think tonight is the night that we are going to see the unthinkable happen. I think we're going to see a flawless race from our very own Mr. Harry Wills. It's got to happen one day or another, and I think tonight is the night. I live for that.
It's got to be one of these days, and hopefully it will be one of these days. Harry Wills indeed did actually go off track a couple of times in qualifying, and so that's why he didn't qualify. I don't think Taylor Lane actually left the pit lane, but they both find themselves on the back row there. You can very much see it's become a bit of a team game as well, this has, because you can see Prestana Nomad cars in the light blue, 5 of them, and there's 3 from the Trusted Racing team with Stuart Reynolds, I think it's John Williams and also Harry Wills as well, so it's become a bit of a team game in Pro. But what's also noticeable about this season compared to the others, David, is the fact that Pro-Am and Am are actually very close in terms of pace to the Pro cars. I mean, we've got Lewis Boubier inside the top 5 and Sembran Rula also inside the top 5. All pole sitters from all the categories had the top 5 overall time, which certainly didn't used to happen.
Well, I think that just adds a little bit of spice to the mix, doesn't it? Because, you know, the more you've got closer in terms of the times through the classes, it makes it less of an issue for the likes of lap traffic towards the end of the race. But let's get this race underway, Ewan.
Yes, let's. Jason Dilworth then on his debut pole position of the IMB World Series League GT3 Championship here tonight. We're about to hit the halfway stage of this season after this evening. Jason Dilworth getting race 1 off to the best possible start. It's free wide for second place as down the inside comes John Williams on everybody. Stuart Reynolds pushed to the outside, and so is Kaidiela's off the road. For one of the Prestana Nomad Mercedes, it's Chris Chatterton, who's found himself in the wall on the exit of turn number 1. A huge shame for him. Off at the start of this one, we may have already cursed him. Louis Poubier gets underway nicely in the Pro-Am category as the BMW category make their way down towards turn number 1 for the first time. They'll get through here cleanly enough. It's a good start from them, and we'll look back to the AMs to see if they can do the same. Sven van Rooler has been pretty dominant so far this season and gets underway from the front in the Porsche. Gets off to a nice start. 3 different manufacturers inside the top 3 here. It's down the inside from James Slates, who will get up into second, past Jorn Polanus and through in towards turn number 1. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get everyone through. Chris Chatterton was the one who found the wall on the exit of turn 1.
And it did look like it was unassisted, as we say, an absolute gaggle led by John Williams. You've got Reynolds and Kaidiel in there as well. The thing with it is, you don't really have any kind of race in this 25-minute race. It's different once we get to the double length race, but with this you just absolutely have to go for it. But listen, also Ewan, all 3 classes, that's the leader of those classes on this rolling start. They absolutely nailed it. The second and third were nowhere to be seen.
Absolutely, and it's quite a quite a thing to witness, to be honest. Louis Poubier leading here in Pro-Am. Sven van Rooler also in AM, so all 3 leaders in fact actually holding on to leads and extending them through the end of lap 1. There is the Porsche of Sven van Rooler. He's got quite an advantage in the points at the moment. He does have the biggest championship lead of anybody in the 3 categories so far after only 4 rounds, but of course there is still a very, very long way to go as Kurt van Hornacker finds himself off the road between turns 10 and 11. This is the straight before the final chicane, and interestingly on these straights actually you don't actually have that much room to go round someone, so I'm kind of impressed that everybody's been able to avoid him.
It's one of those circuits I get the feeling that, you know, to get an overtaking move done, you're going to have to draft them and then just have to send it when they're not looking. As we see a move here from Stuart Reynolds going side by side with John Williams. Never going to get that happening round the outside, or is he? What a run there, Ewan, by Stuart Reynolds. That was a move and a half.
Well, he's having a fantastic season, and he's showing why here as John Williams rubs all the way towards the final chicane with him. Reynolds again late on the brakes at the final chicane, and he'll have the place. Cardiel very close behind as well to maybe make Williams' lap even worse here. They go over the line once more. That was fantastic from Stuart Reynolds, but he's under front again. Down the inside from Williams. They'll nearly come together through turn one, and here comes Diallo. Together, contact made and in the wall for John Williams, and Cardiel will be in the wall as well, no doubt. That is such a shame to see. It was a fantastic battle, but I'm afraid it has ended in contact.
Oh my lord, John Williams is going to be absolutely furious with that. I've got no idea where Cardiel even came from. He was that far back out of that group there, but oh, we'll need to see a replay just to pick out what happened there, but yeah, I think it's safe to say that. Oh, and that's a big spin there. Oh no, I'm not even saying who that. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, that's
right. Okay.
Laugh. But there we are. Harry Wills, I'm
Why
afraid.
does he do this to us, Ewan, every week? Why? We sing his praises about how good he is, and then it's always unforced as well.
The thing is, he actually is a very good driver, by the way. But yeah, just continues to make these mistakes. I think he came close back in season 3 to actually winning a championship when the likes of Alex Urengel and Sean Campbell were doing their thing here. Yeah, there we are. That's quite a dive from Jarmo Sustermoinen down the inside of the only debutant here this evening, Lorenzo Dohor, who's in the Ferrari, you can see in the mid-pack, and even making a dive here on Archie Lands, very nearly was anyway, into the chicane down here at turn 5, the Klein chicane. He's going to be once again under pressure from in the Audi on the run up the hill, and towards this sort of two-part chicane. They'll stay single file, but let's have a replay and see what happened to Harry Wills, and to John Williams, I should say, and Cardiel. Interesting one to call that, really, because of course those two in front were in a battle. DL wanted to get involved, and there wasn't enough space for everybody, really.
There wasn't any space at all for me, and again that camera angle, yeah, that was 100% on Cardiel there. There was never an overtaking opportunity there. Fair enough, he closed it in on the street, and at most you could try and say, well, I didn't have time to react, but for me, I think he tried to send it, and there was never any room. And who was that? That was Lindmo.
It was Hakan Lindmo from third place. Drops down the order after spinning down at turn 7. That is the chicane down there at the bottom of the hill, the Gilles Villeneuve chicane as it is. And he's, I'm afraid, dropped down to 7th place. Chris Jonathan's damaged, by the way, and his struggles in this race are really preventing him from gaining any places out of all of this. But this man certainly is gaining. Taylor Lane started from the back of the pro field. He's already up to 3rd after only 6 minutes, I guess showing the importance of keeping things clean in these races.
Yeah, he's also one of them not in a Merc right now, and that seems to be adding up all the favours. Have you noticed that it's the Merc's really struggling this week with this tight, twisty, stop-start nature of the circuit? I wonder if that does have anything, or if that's just an absolute coincidence right now.
Absolutely. I think you might be right, to be fair. It does sometimes come down to manufacturer, although I was thinking about these curbs actually earlier on at Zolder, because they are pretty ferocious, and I was thinking maybe the Lamborghinis and Audis would maybe struggle as a result of that, but clearly we haven't seen too much of that going on so far tonight. We'll wait and see over the course of the next 20 minutes, and of course the longer race coming up a little bit later. Stuart Reynolds is very much pressuring Simon Dodd here for a top 5 in Pro-Am, and it's staying pretty close, but we're, I think, now getting into the settling in phase, and we're going to find out quite how difficult it is to overtake around here. We're going to see some very frustrated drivers, quite possibly, by the end of these races as they try and find a way through on one another.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to be the way here. I think, to be honest, you needed to have had your moves made. As we're seeing the webcam of Jeroen Reins, I've got to be honest, that's a pretty awesome bedroom setup that Jeroen's got there. That neon light there looks wicked. He's got a little electric guitar. I'm not normally envious of other people's setups, but yeah, that does look quite a cool place.
He looks like he's stolen it from the set of Star Wars, actually, that neon light, doesn't he? But there we are.
Tell me you're a Twitch streamer without telling me you're a Twitch streamer.
Oh dear, Semba Mrula, the leader in AM, has gone off the road. and dropped down to third place. It's at the chicane, the bottom of the hill there at the Gilles Villeneuve chicane, and I'm afraid he was, well, it's only third place, I suppose, but it's not quite where he was before. There's no doubt about that. James Slates and Jon Pullinus both gained places as a result. Down at turn 7, it could well have been on his own. Let's find out what happened here to the points leader in AM. Oh dear.
What?
That was exceptionally odd.
Yeah, to be fair, that was actually a lot less dramatic, but it still lost a chunk of time. Possibly just coming out of the corner, the curb, and like you were mentioning there, that you thought was going to be an issue.
Oh!
Actually, in the background, who was that? Was that, no, it wasn't bright enough. That was further down.
It's Thomas Pugh. It was indeed Thomas Pugh coming out of turn 4, and not only are we seeing the difficulties in overtaking, I suppose, but we've seen an unusual amount of single car errors, I guess showing how inexperienced people are maybe with this circuit, but also quite how difficult it is.
I'm a little bit confused. The last time I saw something like this happening was another league I was doing, and it was the first week after the new BOPs came out, and the Porsche was really badly affected at Road America, and it just seemed like the cars had no rear grip and no rear traction whatsoever. That's what it feels like just now, because it's always on the exit of corners that these cars are struggling. So a very peculiar race. Listen, this is going to make for a very, very interesting second race tonight.
It is, when we reverse the grids and set them off for another 50 minutes here. Well, top 10 reversed. It will be a full reverse grid in Pro if everybody makes the 50% mark, which you need to benefit from that. KDL back underway again after his incident with John Williams, and one of his teammates, Taylor Lane, has found himself in front of him. There's Chris Chatterton, still circulating here, and you've got to take your hat off to him, really. He's just let Louis Poubier and Timothy Vanderbroek through there to fight over the Pro-Am lead, but Chatterton's clearly damaged, but he's soldiering on with the damage right now, and just looking to get round, and he might well be on pole for the second race, which he'll console himself with.
Absolutely, we're watching this battle for third place. Taylor Lane having to fend off KDL, but the problem is, at this point in the season, Ewan, it's all about getting those points. Doesn't matter if you're further down the order, you have to just keep plodding away, because those points are so valuable at the end of the season.
Yeah, very much are, as we'll discuss a little bit more in the break between the two races. Out of the final corner for KDL, who does actually show some signs of damage after the contact with John Williams, and clearly he's found the wall as well around the place, due to that incident. Not as badly as Williams did, you understand, but he still very much has done. Front right of that Lamborghini, not quite in shape. He's just behind Taylor Lane, who won the opening round of the season at goodness me, where was it now? The Nürburgring, I should say. And it resulted in a championship lead for a little while, but he's dropped to third in the standings now. I'm looking to hold on to every point possible down into the turn 5 chicane. Meanwhile, further back, Simon Dodd still holding on from Stuart Winers, who briefly got in front of Dodd there for 5th place, but is now back behind again. And this category, populated with so many BMWs, continues to fight out of turn 4 towards the next chicane, and Simon Dodd very much the cork in the bottle in this group.
Yeah, and it's only going to be a matter of time. You've got to feel, because he's 4 seconds off the back of Dean Timms there. He's got Brighton back, you've got Perdreau in the background there as well. You've also got Mark Fleming just behind him as well. So fantastic stuff. No, Harry, what are you doing to me? Harry Wills has another moment and was currently off track.
He's back on again. I think it was at the chicane, but let's have a look and see what happened. It was at the chicane, or just afterwards maybe, into the grass, and you can't really get yourself off of it anymore. Oh, he might even find the wall. The wall thankfully is pushed back a little bit further there, but one of those mistakes that was really avoidable by the looks of things, really, and could never get himself back on the tarmac again after slipping and sliding all over the grass, which tends to happen in iRacing these days. Time was where you could run off there and get away with it, but not anymore.
Yeah, I think they've obviously decided to completely overhaul the grass and the off-track nature, which makes sense given, what was it, last year, and we had all the debacles with the grass and its unwanted characteristics to the cars. If anything, now it acts like proper grass. It acts like you know, proper slidey grass with very, very little traction on it. And you have to be so careful because it's so easy to spin up the tyres, send the car the wrong way, and lose even more time. So yeah, you just have to be so delicate and accept the fact you're going to lose a lot of time if you even stray a tiny bit wide.
Ryan Hamilton, by the way, currently suggesting in the YouTube chat, one of the Prestana Nomad team members, by the way, suggesting that we take a shot for every time Harry Wills goes off. I don't suggest we do that, because otherwise we'll be floored.
That would be absolutely destroyed by the end of the night. I quite like that, actually.
We would be completely destroyed. But there we are. There's Carl Pierce, by the way, in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Always likes to share his view with us. A little bit more focused this time than we've seen him on occasion this season. He was in a fantastic battle for the lead for some time at Le Mans there, and was punching the air with delight as he made a very nice move, actually. I think it was at Tête Rouge, possibly. Don't quite remember the position or the first chicane, somewhere around there. Was punching the air with delight as he took that position back 1 week ago. Unfortunately, didn't end that race in a particularly good place for him, but is currently defending for his 5th place. Cardiel still trying to find a way through Taylor Lane here, and there's just more than 10 minutes to go now in this race. Time running out a little bit for DL. Still needs to find a way through, but now maybe has got the run in towards the Gilles Villeneuve chicane. If he can just duck out the slipstream towards turn 7, he might have a chance. Once again, can't quite do it and still stuck behind Taylor Lane.
And to be fair, Taylor Lane doing an amazing job. It's not like he's blocking the cab. I actually wonder if Keitel is just pushing and making Taylor trying to make Taylor make a mistake, because if we're watching here, it doesn't look like he's being overly aggressive right now, does it? It doesn't look like Kai's forcing the situation. So, you know, I think Kai will have one eye on the fact that, you know, it's only going to be one position that he can make out of this. So if he is going to make it happen, it's got to be a really easy move, a really low risk move that he's going to happen here. So could be here out of the corner, start finish straight. There we go, job done.
It could well be. He's on the outside line for turn 1 though. If he can stay here for turn 2, then he might be in the money. But Taylor Lane really dives for the apex, and DL gives maybe a bit more room than was necessary there, and is not able to get through. Oh, there's a mistake once again though from Taylor Lane. He made one just out of the final corner there to give DL the run. It's an even bigger one down at turn number 2. And Kai DL will make his way through into 3rd place. The Lamborghini should be able to get away now, given the pace he was showing while stuck behind that BMW.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but that's exactly what DL was trying to do, get the mind games on the go with Taylor Lane. Lane makes a mistake and jumps down into 4th position. Let's face it, that is not a bad place to be, given where everyone else has been having problems. So I think Taylor will be maybe a little bit disappointed that he couldn't hold on to 3rd place, but still some good points with just 10 minutes left to go, and that's a huge moment. Why did I just know that was Harry Wills? It's just, if there's a flamboyant, exotic move, it's Harry Wills.
And John Williams is here as well. I'm not sure how he's ended up down here. Oh my goodness, how have they all got through there? Well, they nearly haven't. Chris Chatterton was at the front of the group. Wills gets through, sliding as always. And John Williams really starting to suffer here by the looks of things. I think he's been off again as John Williams. That was Ivo van der Linden making his way through there as well, I believe. And Dean Tim's involved as well. 2 Pro-Am drivers, you can see them third and fourth, and they were battling previously, not anymore. That was all a bit of a mess down in towards turn 7 there.
I don't know about that. I mean, this is the case in point. We joke about Harry Wills and his accidents and spins and things like that, but that is the other side to Harry Wills. The absolute balls to just fire it into that chicane there and send it round, come out in front and just weave his way straight through. I mean, that was magic from Harry. It's what makes me so annoyed. It's like, he's so damn talented. I just wish it was a little bit more consistent. But yeah, brilliant move from Harry there, showing what he's got and getting a position out of it as well.
Yeah, he is very talented driver. It's sometimes about how you apply it as well, though. Currently 6th place in the point standings right now, and will be maybe losing 1 or 2 as a result of today's race. We'll wait and see on that. Jon Polonus is very close to James Slates here. Polonus starting in the 2nd place, of course, a little bit earlier on in this one. He was alongside Semban Ruler, who went off and is currently down to third. James Slates has overtaken them both, and so it's Lamborghini from Ferrari from Porsche at the front of the AM standings at the moment, with Tony van der Linden in the fourth position, not too far away. But this is the only battle for the lead we have remaining, and the only battle for the lead we've really had all race so far. In any of the categories, Jason Dilworth and Lewis Bibbier have been unchallenged, but James Slates certainly has been challenged, and Pollander's doing his best to do that right now. But with less than 7 minutes to go and not that many opportunities to overtake around here, it may be difficult to get that lead change.
Give it a go anyway, but what a battle we've got for Pro-Am here. You've got Stuart Dodd ahead of Brighton Perdreau and Breitenbach as well. And of course, being fairly brand new to this season, coming in a couple of weeks ago, it's great to see, I'm presuming from what you guys were saying before the broadcast began, that Jean and Marcel are they're brothers.
I think so. I always forget the relation because there's a number of family affairs going on in this season, by the way. Brothers and father and son as well. And I always get mixed up. Oh dear, off the road
well,
for one
talking
of
of
them.
one.
That's probably another one to chalk off the list. Marcel Breitenbach in the 9th place now, dropping down as a result of an incident. And I think Jean Breitenbach might have been off the road as well, or I think he smashed the curb at turn 4 that lap as well. Somebody certainly did. But it doesn't narrow it down particularly to tell you it was a BMW. Stuart Dodd at the front though, under a lot of pressure from Breitenbach. It's round the outside through the first part, inside at the second. That was fantastic from Gene Breitenbach. He's up to 6th place. Exactly what you need to do, but exactly what's so difficult to do down at turn 7.
Yeah, Breitenbach trying to make that move stick, and what a move that was. I love the fact you've got Bocky on the side of that car. Beautiful, beautiful stuff representing South Africa on that livery there. Great move to get that from Dodd. And the problem for that now is Francois Perdreau. He fancies a little go at this as well, and I wouldn't doubt Francois being able to try and get that 7th place back. But 5 minutes left to go in this race. Where has that gone?
These races do indeed fly by, especially the sprint race actually. That you wouldn't think is nearly half an hour long. Breitenbach now having to go on the defensive, and somewhat surprising because Simon Dodd has seemed like the cork in the bottle for quite some time now in Pro-Am. He was running 5th. Stuart Weinerspear was able to get through into that 5th place away from our cameras. Now Breitenbach has been able to do it with Perdreau here as well. There's going to be a big fight here through turn 4, and all of them giving a pretty wide berth to that inside curb that can fly upwards into the air on occasion. And speaking of, there's more of those curves down here at turn 5 as well. But that whole complex, by the way, called turn 5. I can't count, but they've just gone for the one corner, as they have down there at that triple chicane as well, by the way. Meanwhile, Eva van der Linden and Dean Timms very much together right now, with some of the pro drivers here as well. That is Chris Chatterton just up in front, and Harry Wills right at the back. When you've got pros and pro-ams together, it does seem to just heighten these battles a little bit and make weird things happen. Speaking of, I think Breitenbach is off in the background.
Yeah, that did look suspiciously like that, didn't it? And watching this here, this could get very, very spicy indeed here, with these pro cars who'll be wanting to try and get past here. But again, no obligation on the Pro-Am cars to do so, because they're all fighting for position on track. And Slates and Polonus side by side together on the track, very, very briefly. Polonus, though, so close to that top spot.
He certainly is. That's the AM battle for the lead. Let's have a look at what happened down in towards turn 9 on this lap here for Jim Breitenbach. It's actually pretty much clear of everyone here, but Simon Dodd has gone way too late on the brake. He's realised his mistake as well. I think the change in trajectory there from Simon Dodd really did show that he knew he made a mistake, but unfortunately it was too late to really do anything about it, as John Polonus has gone off the road.
What is going on? This is wild. So there he goes. Slate says securing that lead of the race. Then Van Ruler in 2nd place. That was a proper pull shot there into the corner pocket.
Let's have a look at what happened to Jon Polonus. It's out of turn 1. It's out of turn 2 with Simon Dodd and Breitenbach just up in front. Dodd did actually give the position back, but that's just Polonus driving too hard into the corner, really. It wasn't anything fancy, really. Just the car losing grip through the corner.
What surprises me is at low speed, these cars seem really sluggish to turn at all. It seems really different, where they were quite easy to turn at low speed before. They just don't seem to have any rotation, which is why they end up sliding kind of onto the grass as well. It's a very, very bizarre thing. But just a minute and 55 seconds left to go here. Mark my words, from what I've seen this season of WSL, there's still plenty of time for shenanigans and chaos to unfold.
And there is some here as well. Simon Dodge around the outside of turn 1, but it's not going to work for Brayton back, or is it? Well, he's going to get the inside at turn 2, and he will get the position back into 7th place. And seemingly, as this race goes on, he's only getting quicker here at Simon Dodd, and recovering some of those positions that he lost as a result of that contact down towards turn number 8. Turn number 9. It may still come under fire from the stewards for that, but we'll wait and see on that, of course. Final lap, oh goodness, final lap going to be beginning then. Just over a minute to go for Jason Dilworth to try and take his first win in this series. I think we are going to be getting the final lap right now, and Stuart Reynolds not too far behind it. The gap did get as big as 4 seconds at one point, but down to only 1.4. Dilworth has come under a little bit of pressure here, but he's withstood it really quite well, and he's got quite the margin here on the final lap.
He certainly does. He's looking very, very good there. Oh, that was a bit of a clip of the curb there. That could have lost a little bit of time there as well. It's little mistakes like that that really start to ratchet up the pressure. You don't want that extra pressure on the last lap here. You just want to keep things nice and calm, but it's looking good for him. I think he should be fairly comfortable all the way to the end of the race. And listen, he deserves it. He's had a flawless race out in front there.
He certainly has. Had a very flawless race. Dean Timms with Ivo van der Linden not too far in front. That will be the final battle for a podium place we get probably in this race. But Jason Dilworth isn't going to have to battle for his win here any longer. The seconds now elapse. Race 1 complete here in the IMB World Series GT3 Championship at Zolder, and it's Jason Dilworth who will take the win ahead of Stuart Reynolds in that second position. A very close race between the two, with less than a second separating them at the end, and they'll be ones to watch as they come through the field in the second race coming up a little bit later on. Cardiel third in the Pro field, while not far behind. Lewis Boubier is going to take the win there in the Pro-Am field, you would imagine, and there he is coming over the line in 5th overall, just showing you what a drive he has done here today. Timothy Vanderbroek will be second, ahead of Ivo van der Linden in the 3rd place. Dean Timms and Stuart Wyners weren't very far away at all, and still aren't very far away at all here at the end of this race. They'll all cross the line together, not far in front of James Slates, who in the end is going to look like he's had quite a simple race here, but it's been anything but. We've had Tony van der Linden, excuse me, and Sam van Ruler challenging him quite a lot so far in this race. By the way, Sam van Ruler was shown to have had wheel troubles earlier on in this race, which contributed to his issues earlier on. But a decent first race, 25 minutes flying by, 3 deserving winners, and now we're going to get the reverse grid race where things do get arguably even more crazy.
Yeah, it's going to get spicy very, very shortly indeed. What a great race though from all 3 classes, Pro, Pro-Am and Am. Lewis Boubier taking the Pro-Am. Really can't say anything wrong with that. Really enjoyed it. But as you said, race 2, what I love about these double race events, right, is the fact that you always get race 1 and it always causes some sort of like little drama, little niggle that gets resolved in race 2 in one way or the other. But Ewan, I think it's time for the results.
Certainly is, and everybody within a minute here in Pro, which is good to see. Jason Dilworth ahead of everyone, and Stuart Reynolds in second. Cardiel getting past Taylor Lane for third pretty late on. Hakan Limbo inside the top 5. Chris Chatterton with that damage as a result of turn 1 accidents finishes 6th ahead of Harry Wills, who went off a couple of times during that race for 7th. And John Williams, points leader, finishing last, but will be starting on the pole position for the second race coming up. In the Pro-Am standings, it was a 5th overall for Lewis Boubier and a 7-second win. Timothy Vanderbroek and Ivo van der Linden will be joining him on the podium. Dean Timms will be 4th, ahead of Stuart Winers running out the top 5. Francois Pedro did indeed get in front of Simon Dodd for 6th there in the end. Jim Breitenbach couldn't quite and remained in 8th. Mark Fleming and Marcel Breitenbach round out those that will be on the front row for the second race, with Thomas Pugh just missing out. He'll be starting from 11th. In the AM standings, it was a win for James Slates in this one, as his rivals fell by the wayside. Sam Van Ruler, second place, just under 10 seconds adrift, with Tony Van der Linden in 3rd. Then it was Carl Pearce in 4th place ahead of Jeroen Reigns. Matthias de Groot 6th. Jon Polleners dropping to 7th by the end of that one, unfortunately, with Jarmo Sastre-Moinen, the final driver on the lead lap. Kurt van Hoornakke, Archie Lands and Lorenzo de Hoor all making it to the line 1 lap down, and that is somewhat of a surprise to see, really. The fact that everybody making it to the end, and we'll be able to get them all reversed and ready for race 2 coming up very shortly. Jason Dilworth, though, is now going to join us, having won the opening race of the evening. Jason, welcome to the booth. Good to have you here, and a nice win for you there, with Stuart Reynolds chasing you down all the way to the end. Just tell us about those last few laps, as you were being caught there for the race win.
Yeah, thanks, Ewan. Yeah, thank you, and it was good fun. I've only been here, this is my second race obviously in this season, and just kind of having fun race by race, and got a bit of a fortunate pole and a good start and had a good lead within the first couple of laps, so then it was just a case of managing it. Stuart has great pace, so that will pay off for him in the next race. Yeah, it was really just managing it to make sure that we didn't catch too many AMs, if I'm honest.
Yeah, what about the second race then, with you starting right at the back? It's effectively a full reverse, really, because we've got 8 in the pro field today, and that means, well, it's less than 10, so you're going to be at the back having won the race. How is that going to be in terms of working your way through the field and working your way through the opening lap as well here at a circuit like this?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Again, first reverse grid with this league, so that'll be fun to find out how it goes. I've been watching the first few rounds and your great coverage, so sort of have a little bit of an idea to what to expect. I'm just going to take it really easy. I haven't got a championship to fight for, so I don't want to be ruining anyone else's, and I just want to be getting whatever results I can. And if that means I've got to help someone like John out as well, my teammate who at least was leading the championship going into this evening, then I'll do a bit of that as well. Absolutely.
And in terms of the traffic as well, you mentioned that you didn't quite catch the AMs in that one, so it wasn't too much of a problem, or not many of them anyway. You didn't catch too many of them. What is that going to be like during the second race? Because obviously it's double the length, and you certainly will be encountering traffic. Is that going to be a problem for everybody?
Yeah, I think it will be. It'll be a massive bit of the race, and it's no disrespect to the AMs at all. It's less of a pace thing and more of a how big the spread is at the beginning. They're half a lap behind before we've even got going. So over double the length of a race, that's going to really come into play. The pit exit here is also really treacherous. So that's going to be something to really watch out for, especially if 2 different classes are coming out side by side at that pit exit and turn 2.
Yeah, certainly something to contend with. Jason, congratulations on the win here in race 1, and good luck for race 2.
Thanks so much, guys. Cheers.
Thanks very much. Jason Dilworth there, winner in race 1. Sam Van Ruler also able to join us now. Second place in AM, but maybe not where he wanted to be. Sam, welcome to the booth. Good to have you here once again. Hearing that you may have had or been experiencing some wheel problems during that race. Just tell us about what was going on.
Yeah, it was really messed up because I was racing throughout the week and I haven't had any issues, and then it started happening during practice, and I was like, what is this? And then it became worse during qualifying, and then during the race, like every lap my wheel was locking into place at some points. And the first one, when I lost the lead, it was locked into place when I was steering left, so that's not ideal. It was really messed up. I just wanted to address that because it probably looked really stupid on the live stream.
Well, it looked rather bizarre, but we've got our answer now. I mean, is it going to be a problem in the next race? Because surely it's one of those things that's actually very hard to get to the bottom of, really.
Yeah, I quickly updated my wheel drivers and restarted my PC, so I hope it doesn't happen. And otherwise, I might retire the car because obviously I don't want to put other drivers in danger. So if it keeps happening during the race, I'm gonna retire the car. But yeah, then you will see it. But I'm gonna just try and hope, pray for the best.
Absolutely, we certainly will be. You'll be starting from 9th place in this second race. How do you think that's going to go in terms of working your way through traffic and getting through lap 1 as well?
I think I'm just gonna be patient, especially with the wheel issues. Just not try to murder anyone on track. And also, James is starting behind me, and he was looking really quick that race. So shout out to him, he was really quick. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to fight it out and see what I can do from 9th.
Absolutely, we look forward to it. Sam, congratulations on a podium here in race 1, and good luck for race 2.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Sam Barula there, 2nd place in race 1, and joining us there for a quick chat ahead of race 2, which will be coming up very, very shortly indeed. It was an interesting race 1, David, certainly, but I'm glad that we've got a few more answers on Sam Van Ruler there in terms of wheel problems, but it's got to be very, very unnerving as a driver when that keeps happening.
Yeah, he doesn't sound too confident, but I mean, look, fair play to him. He's just literally just said, if the slightest sign of any more trouble, and I'm just going to call it a night. And yeah, that's incredibly thoughtful. If it's me, I don't care about the other drivers. I'm just absolutely going for it. But no, it's great to see that thoughtfulness going on. That so I believe now, after being so cruelly denied earlier, you get to finally tell us about the championship.
Absolutely, we didn't really have time, as you probably saw as we went into the race, but we do now. And we can tell you that coming into today, John Williams had a 3-point championship lead over Chris Charlton and Taylor Lane. That is very, very close indeed. Stuart Reynolds was only 11 points back after losing some at Le Mans. Hakan Lindmo was 5th, and he just finished 5th in that last race, interestingly enough. Harry Wills 6th ahead of Lucas Romano, who's not here today. Cardiel is in 8th ahead of Johannes Trapp and Lars de Vaan. Jason Dilworth down at 11th, and as he said, not fighting for a championship here, just race wins. Juho Hudson is 12th ahead of Albin Kjellberg. Then it's James Pearson, Max Furtwanger of those 15 pro drivers who have been here in the season so far. It's very, very close in the pro standings, as you can see. It's pretty close here in Pro-Am as well. Ivo van der Linden first ahead of Dean Timms. Then Louis Boubier, who has had the pace, but not always the consistency to be up there. Tim Breitenbach in 4th ahead of Francois Perdot. Thomas Pugh down in 6th, will be disappointed to have finished 11th in that last race. Timothy Vanderbroek 7th in the standings ahead of Jeremy De Boy, who's not here today. Neither is Joe Bouts. Neither is Dieter Vlaming. All them inside the top 10. Marcel Breitenbach 11th ahead of Chris Thacker. Stuart Wines is 13th with Mark Fleming, who was also racing with a loose wheel during that one. And will be starting from the back in race 2 as well. He's 14th with the standings ahead of Simon Dodd. Peter Lemkens and also Ashraf Haddad, the 17 Pro-Am drivers who have all taken to the track this season. And here is the biggest championship lead. 38 points for Sam Van Ruler already here after only 4 rounds. Carl Pearce 2nd ahead of Euron Reigns. Then it is Gus Franken. Navarro de Boy 5th ahead of Yamasa Simonin. Archie Lands is 7th. Tied on points with James Slates. Kurt Van Hartenacker and Jürgen Knocker are inside the top 10. Jorn Polners probably deserves to be higher than 11th. Based on his performance so far today. Matthias de Groot probably higher than 12th as well, in terms of where he deserves to be. But there we are. Timo McKeown is 13th ahead of Tony van der Linden. Connor Botting, who we haven't seen for a while, 15th ahead of Mark Bailey, rounding out the 16 AMs as well. The pro standings, very much the highlight there, David, because to have 3 drivers separate by only 3 points is quite remarkable, really. And I know it's only after four rounds, but it's promising heading into the next round.
It certainly is, and it makes it so important, like you said, with those tight gaps at the top of the championships. There's still so much to play for through the remainder of these rounds. They're going to get tonight's race 2 underway. They're going to get it done and dusted. They'll get for a break for a week. They get to regroup and think about exactly how they're going to challenge for the rest of the season. This, for me, is a very, very important race coming up.
It certainly is, and it's coming up very, very shortly. 15 minutes around here at Zolder, and make sure you stay with us. We'll be taking a very, very quick break, and when we return, the second race of the evening will be underway.
leg, arm, legs, arms, step all together.
Welcome back to Zolder for the IMB World Series League's GT3 Championship. 5th round here for Season 5. We've seen an exciting first 25 minutes and first race 1. And now it's time for race 2. 50 minutes and a reverse grid coming up. My name is Ian Larry. I'm alongside David Christie still. It was an interesting first race, David, but a race, I think, where we've seen the most people falling off the road so far this season.
Yeah. Interesting is probably the most generous use of the words I think I'll hear for a while. That was wild, and the amount of cars that were just, as you say, falling off and throwing themselves into hazards with nobody else around shows how difficult these cars are to. What a knife edge these drivers are having to push every single lap here. So you consider now we've got to do that for double the length of time. And throw in a pit stop into the mix as well. Yeah, this is going to get quite feisty.
It is, and quite interesting as well. We've just shown you, of course, the championship standings, and we've had a couple of chats with a couple of the drivers. We've got a few minutes left in practice, but I can tell you, by the way, that that previous race has closed up the pro drivers' standings even more to just 4 points separating the top four in the race here. And of course, it's a slightly smaller field in pro tonight than usual. I mean, it's a full grid reverse effectively for them. This is the view from Carl Pearson. Had some interesting chat through in YouTube a couple of moments ago, telling us that Carl Pearce had or is feeling a little bit ill at the moment, and so is doing well to race as he is right now, to be honest, because that is never nice to be racing when you're not feeling 100%. It's very, very hard work indeed.
It's absolutely grim, and especially if it's the flu, as they're saying there, then yeah, mad props for even turning up tonight. The last thing you want to do is sit in front of your monitors or your VR headset. You just want your bed and just to rest and relax. But hey, the championship is a championship, and my man's got to earn his points tonight, and fair play for that.
He certainly has. He's currently second place in the point standings at the moment, by the way, as we just showed you, but did lose a few more to Sam Van Ruler there. The gap now 42 points in the standings, with just over a minute remaining in practice. Lewis Boubier currently quickest in this session, actually. John Williams second, but most people coming into the pit lane, but not to make a stop particularly, David, but to actually practice the entrance and exit, because it's a pretty unusual one.
It certainly is. We were talking about that off air during the break there. It's along that back straight just after the Jochen Rindbocht. You're tearing it down. Normally where they'd go for the brakes into the Jackie X-Bocht, that tight left-right chicane. They've got another chicane that they've got to deal with, even tighter, I think, than that one there, and even narrower as well. So I would not be surprised, and I'm not trying to tempt fate here, but I would not be surprised if we do see a couple of little oopsie moments into that barrier.
We could well do, unfortunately, and that is an oopsie moment.
Right on commands.
Yeah, there we are. Lorenzo Duhart on his debut in the series, getting into the wall, where this man ended up in race one. And I do wonder what people can learn from race one, and lap one in particular, especially in the pro category. I wonder if Chris Jansen is going to be able to stay out of things on this occasion, or whether we're going to have trouble once again, because after all, it is pretty much a full grid reverse for those pros. Only one not being reversed in Pro-Am and Am as well. So there's going to be a big change in where the leaders are now, and we'll see what it's going to provide for us down towards turn one on this occasion. But thankfully, Pro-Am and Am was pretty clean last time. And let's see if we get something similar this time. Let's have a look at the grid, though, before we do anything else. John Williams and Harry Wills will be on the front row together. Chris Chatterton, as we just mentioned, will be third out of Taylor Lane. Then it'll be Cardiel in fifth with Stuart Reynolds. Jason Dilworth, race winner from the first race, will be only seventh. Hakin Lindmo to the back here for whatever reason. Thomas Pugh will be on the front here of the Pro-Ams, and it'll be Marcel Breitenbach. Mark Fleming up to third with Team Breitenbach. These standings do seem slightly out of order sometimes, but there we are. Simon Dodd in the fifth place with Francois Perdreau on row 3 with him. Stuart Wyance will be seventh with Dean Timms. Eva van der Linden and Timothy van der Broek on row 5 with Louis Poubier, having won race 1, all the way down to 11th. Mark Fleming does indeed benefit from reverse grid, but not all the way up. He only goes to third, so I don't know quite why that is the case, but there we are. It certainly is. And in the AM field, we've got pretty much a full reverse here as well. Lorenzo de Hoor will be on the front with Archie Lands. Then it'll be Kurt van Harnack third and Jan Timoinen. Jon Polonus and Matthias de Groot sharing row 3 with Jeroen Reigns and Carl Pearce on row 4. Champ points leader Sam Muller will be 9th ahead of James Slates, and Tony van der Linden drops to 11th on the start here. So this order is... Yeah, Hakan Lindmo also in the chat right now saying, why am I last? And I pose the same question as well. But the order, very, very jumbled up compared to what we might normally see. And that is going to provide quite something for us here on this start. Here they are, making their way down the back straight and towards the chicane. And what is a very, very jumbled up order. And some people in the order not quite sure how they've ended up where they are, which is always an interesting prospect.
Well, I'm just always here for a little bit of chaos and confusion. So yeah, I'm absolutely all for this. We'll wait to see. There's nothing they can do now. They just have to get ready to go racing.
Absolutely. It's something you've got to push to the back of your mind, really. There are the AM drivers with a bit of a split to them, of course. And it's going to be quite an experience for Lorenzo de Hoor on his first reverse grid race, first round in this series. To be starting one off from the pole is a very, very daunting prospect, and we're going to see how he deals with it here in a few hours' time.
Yeah, the cars getting their way down here as we're watching Chris Chatterton just behind Harry Wills and Williams. Harry Wills, though, I feel like we shouldn't even mention him for the entirety of this race, just in case we put a jinx on things here. But listen, this is going to get spicy here. I think Wills is going to go straight for the lead immediately.
I think he will. Someone else, by the way, adding to our suggestion of us taking a shot every time he goes off, but that he should take a shot every time he goes off as well. Well, that would be... I don't think that would solve the problem. Let's put it that way. But there
I
we
think
are.
we should just give Harry Wills a 5-second penalty every time he goes off.
Well, I don't think that would stop him somehow. But there we are. Let's see what happens here over the course of 50 minutes. It's race 2 here at Zolder to bring us to the halfway mark in the IMB World Series League's GT3 Championship for Season 5. The lights will come on. John Williams in control of the field, and he'll get a great start over Wilson Chatterton, who will go side to side towards turn 1 for the first time. It's Wills on the inside, and he'll hold on to second. Chatterton with a cleaner start than he got in race 1. He's up to third, and he'll stay in third. Thankfully, the pros get through there cleanly. And now it's time for the Pro-Ams. On the outside line, Thomas Pugh getting off to a good start. And he also is able to take his own line and pick where he wants to go in towards turn number 1, but doesn't quite do it to the best visibility, I don't think, as Marcel Breitenbach gets to the outside of him immediately in towards turn 2. It's a side-by-side battle for the lead there, and Lorenzo de Hoor here with quite a prospect on his hands, leading in his first round of this series. He'll take the field away in race 2 for the AM field. They'll go side by side between everybody as well. They'll make their way through turn 1 cleanly as well. It's a cleaner start here to race 2.
Yeah, looking really, really good for all of the different classes there. As well, spoke too soon. There is Simon Dodd off from 3rd position in Pro-Am, all the way down there just before the second to last chicane. And yeah, you hate to see it. Meanwhile, Harry Wills right onto the back of Williams. Chatterton as well, he's going to fancy a little bit of this as well, and so is Kai DL. So yeah, this is a nice start. Great move from Harry Wilson, gets the power down nice and early from the exit, that final corner, side by side. He's going to have the outside line here, but we know that doesn't stop Harry Wilson at all here.
It certainly doesn't. It will give him the inside at turn 2 as well, but that didn't quite happen. Chatterton all over him as well. DL there. And there was words as well, by the way, between John Williams and Kai DL as a result of their incident in race 1. Let's see if they will indeed battle it out on circuit a little bit later on. But for the moment, John Williams leads them around, and Harry Wills once again showing us that he is a very, very fast driver indeed, applying a lot of pressure early on in this race. It's just a case of sustaining it, though, over a race of this distance.
It certainly is. We go side by side edge. You can see big moves coming up there on the inside. The issue with this as well is that, you know, this is a 50-minute race here. They need to be able to calm things down. They need to be able to get themselves into a groove here and actually, you know, just knuckle down with the race. And this first 5-10 minutes here is going to be so crucial.
Harry Wills inside line of turn 9, not quite in towards the hairpin. He'll get a good exit again and maybe have another go on John Williams here in towards the final chicane, which is indeed the Jackie Xbox at turn 11. But he won't go for the inside here. Profield staying very close together at the end of lap 2. Everybody pretty much nose to tail.
It's beautiful stuff to see. You've got Chatterton there, Kai DL, Stuart Reynolds, Jason Dilworth, all within a hair's breadth of this fight for first and second position. John Williams, though, you get the feeling that Harry is he's been a little bit more patient this time by. He's just holding that car in, trying to get the cutback. What he needs to do is he needs to avoid those curbs, because as soon as you put the throttle down on those curbs, we've seen how unpredictable that Mercedes can be. With the Pro-Am fight, with it all, you know, the majority of them being BMWs, that's actually quite spread out for this early stage in the race.
It certainly is, and it's partly down to Marcel Breitenbach really applying the pressure from the front, and Stuart Reynolds as well, who's just set the fastest lap of anybody on that last lap with a 1:28.9. But as you can tell from that lap time, everybody's very full of fuel, and everybody's stuck in traffic as well, because we can go more than a second quicker than that. Archie Lands is still on the back of Lorenzo De Hoor, and what a drive this has been so far from the debutant in the Ferrari, still leading the AM category at the end of lap 2 here. This is a dream start for him pretty much.
Yeah, it's exactly what he wanted, isn't it? You know, you have to really just push things down, try and get yourself a little bit of a gap here. Just undo that pressure that you're getting behind. So we're seeing Jarno Sasnemoinen here, and I believe that is Sem van Ruler just in front. So great to see Sem so far after those hardware issues. And that's not going to help the hardware issues at all, thumping it over the curbs there. But I tell you what, that Porsche looking very, very fast now.
That's going to create some hardware issues, I'm afraid. Jumping right up over the curb down there at turn 5, the Klein chicane. As meanwhile, Chatterton on the defensive. John Williams beginning to stretch his legs a little bit and opens out a 1 second lead for the first time in this race. Harry Wills still giving chase right now, with Chris Chatterton defending from KDL in behind. The more planted Lamborghini getting very close through turn 4, and he'll look to the inside at the Klein chicane now. He won't go for it though, exercising a little bit of caution and not clearly not wanting to get caught up in an incident as he did in race 1.
Caution being better part of Valor, I think, on that one. But I think we're away ahead for a very, very quick replay of Mark Fleming here, Ewan.
We are. This is lap 1 by the looks of things, but very much towards the end of it. With Fleming having started from 3rd, he's having an awkward moment and did go into the side. I think Gene Breitenbach there, I think that was, a little bit further down the order. So now he's a little bit further down. Mark Fleming has indeed actually entered the pit lane now, and is down in last in the Pro-Am field. A bit of a shame, but it is, like you said a little bit earlier, these GT3 cars, for whatever reason, are just struggling at the really low speeds that you get around these corners.
They really, really are, and it's unfortunate to see, because they seem so unpredictable as well. I've just realised, what a battle we've got going on for there as well. They're exactly the same as Harry Wells. That was so close to making a huge mistake there, and he's going to be under huge pressure now from Chatterton and Kai DL, both chomping at the bit here. But this is a brilliant start to the race for a spectator. Not so sure I'd be liking this if I was driving in this. I'd be a little bit stressed out right now here, Ewan.
Oh, DL over the curb and in the gravel, in the grass as well. Dilworth and Reynolds will both go through. They've gained good progress so far after finishing the first race 1 and 2. But watch out for Stuart Reynolds as this race develops. He was only getting quicker as race 1 was coming to a close. It's nearly side by side for Harry Wills as well. Further up the front, side by side, side to side with Wills, and pushed off into the tarmac. It's with Jason Dilworth trying to get through, side by side still, through turn 5, oh goodness, through they go, and up towards the hairpin down here at the bottom of the course. It will be KDL down the inside, Stuart Reynolds as well. Oh my word, everybody's everywhere, teammates even going side by side and almost free wide in towards the hairpin.
Ewan, we're not going to have a voice left at the end of this race tonight here. Harry Wills being unusually restrained here. I think he's going to feel hard done by with that move from Jason Dilworth there. Possibly going to be trying to get the undercut and get that position back here. But either way, that's Dilworth now up into P3. Stuart Reynolds gets P4. Kydale is going to be desperate to try and get past that car right in front. But if you look at Harry Wills right now, he seems to be trying to force the cars in front to make a mistake, but it's just not happening as we go back to Sam van Rooyen in this AM battle here.
This is exactly why Sam van Rooyen is the points leader. The way he is able to get through the traffic so easily. There has been all kinds of positional changes going on back here. Sam van Rooyen, the most of them right now, up 6. James Slate's also up 6. They are your biggest movers in any category so far today in this race, but not entirely sure how Archie Lands and Lorenzo De Hoore have found themselves so far down the order. They were running 1 and 2. They've now disappeared from the top 5 entirely. Lorenzo De Hoore's now down in 25th overall. That's 8th in class. And Archie Lands is now down in 11th and last in the AM category right now. So that is clearly something gone on there between those two. But it has allowed Sam van Rooyen to once again flex his muscles and once again show us why he is the points leader, because he keeps doing things like this.
Absolutely, and the thing is that he's done so well to make up for the damage in that first race. But Ewan, I think we've got another replay coming up.
I think we're about to see what happened here to Lorenzo. There's the contact. So Simon Dodd was involved in this. That's how Lorenzo De Hoore had already lost the lead at this point to the BMW of Archie Lands, who tried to go down the inside of Simon Dodd down there at turn 2. There was contact, and that's going to be an awkward one to work through for the stewards.
I'm not even getting involved in that one, as Kydale right onto the back of Harry Wills here. There's a lot of pressure for Harry to be putting up with. That Lambo just looks so fast through this circuit. I mean, the Mercs are good, but they just don't seem to have the balance out of these slow, twisty corners. So there's the Lambo and the Audi look very fast indeed here. However, Harry did a grand job of making that Mercedes about 20 stories wide. It's like a caravan on wheels, that thing. It's just planted right in the middle of the road, right where you don't want it to be.
Caravan on wheels. I'd like to see one off wheels, but there we are. We'll gloss over that.
Ewan, come on now. Is that the most unusual thing you've ever heard me say? That's pretty much par for the course. That's like nothing.
It's quite unusual, to be fair, but there we are. Side by side a little bit, by the way, in this battle for second place. This Chris Chatterton is becoming a bit of a cork in the bottle moment here, just 10 minutes into this 50-minute affair. Jason Dilworth, race 1 winner, showing that he can also overtake. Didn't need to do a lot of that in race 1, but he's doing it now, and teammate help as well. Chris Chatterton letting Dilworth through. I don't think he's going to be quite so nice to Stuart Reynolds.
I'm going to plead fifth on that one, because I think we both know the answer to that. Up the inside, what a run though that Stuart Reynolds has got there, as Winus and Breitenbach fighting out here for Pro-Am.
There is the change. Stuart Winus up to the front. Marcel Breitenbach has held the lead for 10 minutes, but now has to relinquish it, and Winus may well not be seen again by these Pro-Am competitors. That is possibly his chance to take this race, but still a very long way to go, and of course a pit stop that will have to be made at some point throughout the day. Ivo van der Linden, by the way, is the points leader in Pro-Am. It's been a very topsy-turvy season so far, and Ivo van der Linden finds himself currently down in 9th place. Louis Boubier only 7th at the moment. He has made a little bit of progress, but he's still only there in 7th for the moment, with Gene Breitenbach right behind him, I believe, at this stage. Yeah, there we are. There they are in the 7th place right now. This is further back in the AM category. James Slate and Kurt Van Hoornacker are going to be catching Sam van Rooyen as a result of that. Out of the Klein chicane, he gets onto the gravel and the grass a little bit, gets caught up, but he will remain in 2nd place.
It's always that heart-stopping moment. I mean, 12 minutes into this race here, you can't be affording to make those mistakes, and if you do, you're only going to have a certain amount of lives to be able to get away with it. But the thing is have a look at Slates. Jerome Slates really wanting to take that position from Van Hoornacker. He wants to push on. Van Hoornacker wants second place, but I think he's more worried about that Ferrari behind him right now, if I'm honest.
He certainly will be, and it will be interesting because Johan Pullerness was, of course, battling with Sam Van Ruler for so long in that first race, and they were fighting things out. Pullerness has had to make some overtakes in this race as well, but now that he's got Van Ruler behind, that's going to be an interesting chase there. Battle for third in Pro-Am is getting interesting. Thomas Pugh down the inside here into turn 5, not quite into the chicane. Dean Timms might well do on the way out though. Let's see, side by side over the crest of the hill and down through 6 into turn 7. The Gilles Villeneuve chicane is going to get 4th place for Dean Timms, and that was rather nicely on the inside. Thomas Pugh falling through the order here a little bit, and when one comes through, it is difficult to stop everybody coming through.
Yeah, that's exactly it here, and the problem with it as well is now we're going to have to start thinking about strategy here, Ewan, because we're going to be, I think, about maybe 10 minutes away from starting to get some pit stops. You're going to have a couple of drivers who are going to play it safe. We always do, who pit at pretty much spot on halfway through the race here, and then we get everybody else trying to eke it out as long as they possibly can. I think that's what would be the better thing to do here, Ewan.
Absolutely. We'll see. We'll talk a little bit more about strategy in a couple of moments, but Archie Lance here is coming to the pit lane, and well, he didn't make it. He came to a complete stop and carried on. I think the only explanation I can have for that is that he entered the pit lane there, not having quite set what was needed to be done there. I wonder if he unchecked begin fueling or whether he unchecked tyres or something there as he stopped on the way in, because usually you would never see that. And you wouldn't often see that either. My word! Oh, and contact made! Carl Pierce and Lorenzo de Hoort find themselves in the wall, and Matthias de Groot finds himself through after a 3-wide overtake. That was exceptionally bizarre.
That was bizarre, but can we just give a round of applause? Was that Jerome Reigns that just went flying through on the inside, or was that De Groot that went up the inside there? Because that was absolutely spectacular. Avoided the pair of them, just went, see yous, and the pair of them decided to collide into each other. That was awesome.
De Groot, who made it through 3 Ferraris in a row. Oh dear, and that is Jerome Reigns. And he's off now at the Klein chicane. Coming out of turn 5, and he will... Oh no, it isn't. Who is that? Simon Dodd, maybe? It was indeed Simon Dodd. Excuse me. Should have known. A BMW. Of course, it would be a Pro-Am. And there is Simon Dodd getting back underway again after getting all over the curves. But, well, that was quite an exceptional moment between those 3 down at turn 1. And somehow they all made it through. And once again, it's Pro-Am who are providing those trains for us. Francois Pedro at the front of this one for 3rd place, and interesting that because this one includes the likes of Louis Bouvier at the back, but everybody right now settling into this race and once again struggling to overtake maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, quite possibly. It's a difficult track. It's not exactly easy on these GT3 cars, and with this new GT3 model that was unveiled, late last year, it really has kind of turned everything upside down on its head here. So it makes it even better for us. Listen, that's the plus side of it. As spectators and as commentators, we get to enjoy all the chaos and all the drama here, but for the drivers, not so much. They get a little bit frustrated because it seems, like I said, it seems to be a little unpredictable when these moments happen. But here comes Dean Timms. I tell you what, Francois Pedro really has got his hands full right now, because Dean Timms, we know what Dean is like in terms of pace-wise. This is going to be a very intense battle, I think.
It is. Tim's not going to give Pedro any room to breathe here at the final chicane, not anywhere. Out onto the front straight they go. Timms tucking in the slipstream, chasing the slipstream of the BMW in front, and maybe he'll have a late look down here at turn 1. He won't. He'll stay behind, but he'll continue to apply that pressure, continue to use different lines, and he won't quite go down the outside at turn 2. He'll once again demonstrate that it is quite difficult to overtake around this circuit. Don't end up too far out to the outside there at turn 2. You'll get yourself on the bobbly curb, whatever the hell you call that, really. Just a number of things to stop you from extending the corner too much. Pedro still in front here, and once again being put under increasing amounts of pressure from Dean Timms, but once you are in front, there isn't actually all that much you have to do to keep somebody behind you.
You say that, but from my experience, I bottle it every time. I find the pressure way too much, as we see Harry Wills here just behind Chris Chatterton and in front of Taylor Lane. Taylor Lane is one of those drivers that we've seen in previous seasons who has, like, either he does really, really well or you just never see him all season. I think this is one of his better seasons where he's really getting in some good performances, and I think that it's maybe just down to the fact that he's gelling with that BMW that he's in.
It certainly is. And as I mentioned, won Le Mans earlier on this season. Won Nordschleife, I should say, which has been to Le Mans. That was 1 week ago. But it's Harry Wills under that bit of pressure at the moment. Lewis Boubier comes into the pit lane. Now this is an interesting call. Just over half an hour to go. I think you might just be able to make it on fuel at this point. That you don't actually have that big of a window because of the fuel limit you have on the cars. But I think this could be a smart call from Lewis Boubier to come into the pit lane, get fuel now, get out of this traffic, and maybe jump all of them through the pit stop phase.
It could be done, and again, you know, it all comes down to that chat about strategy. It comes down to how are you going to roll the dice on this, because of course there's loads of different ways that you can skin the cat here, but at the end of the day you have to be able to have that pace to back things up. So he's obviously got confidence that he can not only go to the end here, but that he can go drama free to the end, as Van Hoonicker undoes all that effort there, losing the position to Jeroen Slates.
That certainly is. That's battle for second in AM at the moment, I believe. Excuse me, third in AM at the moment. Van Brunner's still up there. This is the look back at that Lamborghini at the moment, a little bit further down in the field. And that is just in front of the Pro-Am battle for third place. Francois Peugeot still in front of Dean Timms, Thomas Pugh, Timothy Vanderbroek, all in a line. The problem Lewis Boubier is going to have, though, is that he's come out in 25th right now. He's only 5 seconds behind the back of the Amfield. That's Carl Pearce, who admittedly has had problems today, and he has come out in a bit of clean air. Clearly this is calculated from Boubier as well, because he's not just blindly done this and just hoped it might work. Clearly he knows that if he pits now, he's going to get a little bit of clean air, or at least enough clean air that he knows. And we've already got Dean Timms and Timothy Vanderbroek coming into the pit lane to cover him off. Clearly they are worried about Lewis Boubier.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you get a driver that is so outside of what everybody else is planning, that immediately sends up a red flag, and they start thinking, well, wait a minute, if he's doing that, what do we do? How do we get to be able to protect ourselves against the undercut? Because the last thing you want to do is take a pit stop and throw yourself out into some very slow traffic here, and that's the worst thing for your race indeed. But what I'm noticing as well, that pro gap between Williams, Dilworth and Reynolds, they're now separated by about a second and a half.
Oh, he's done it. He's done it. Lewis Boubier has done it. He's in front of Dean Timms, who was running second in that train. So that says an awful lot about where he's going to be at the end of that cycle. 3 seconds shorter stop, by the way, for Boubier compared to Timothy Vanderbroek. For whatever reason, his stop was a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Stuart Reynolds is starting to let this race come to him a little bit as we're approaching the halfway mark in this one. You just noticed towards the end of that first race that he was getting stronger and stronger as it went on, and Dilworth was being caught, where we're seeing that now in a fight for second place in race 2. And Reynolds is just, the longer this goes on, the better he's getting right now, and that might well continue for another half an hour.
Yeah, to be fair though, the pace that Reynolds has got, you wouldn't cast any bets against him going for Williams straight after this as well, because you know Dilworth's doing a good job of holding up, whereas I'd be very tempted just to kind of ease off a little bit and try and protect that gap. But at the end of the day, you know, racing's racing. We've almost at the halfway point here. The way that Lambo is set up as well, Reynolds is very fast, but it's also very, very loose. If you notice the attitude of the car when it comes out of the corner, there's a lot of wheel spin, a lot of tail spin from the car at the back as well. So again, just something to watch for. But I think Reynolds does have the number right here. As into the pits goes Jason Dilworth.
And that's not ideal. Ideally, you want to pit when there's no one in front of you so you can maximise that entry. But Dilworth wasn't able to do that quite there, as he was the meat in the sandwich. But clearly he was worried about Stuart Reynolds as well and had to come into the pit lane as this race got older. He's the only of the pro drivers to come into pit here. Unless Hacken Lindmo is going to do something from a little bit further back, but he is quite a long way back, even at this stage in the race. That is an interesting call there. So the pit stop's very much underway, and we're not even halfway into this one. Clearly everything has been calculated, and it remains to be seen what's going to be done here. How much is John Williams going to get in the way? Are these two going to compromise each other, allowing the race one winners to get into the lead again?
I think yes, and just purely because it's the race leader that's right in front of you, and being behind the wheel of any car, if you've got a car in front of you, you're instinctively desiring to try and get your way past that there. So gets out into a little bit of fresh air in that track there. So I think that's actually the best possible outcome there for Jason Dilworth. Listen, there's your answer to that question, whether or not Reynolds is going to attack, because all over like a bad rash the tail end of Williams right now. This is getting a little bit fighty now.
It's getting very interesting indeed. Oh, and Reynolds pushing as maximum as possible to get into the pit lane with John Williams right up in front. So both Reynolds and Dilworth were compromised on the way into the pit lane there. Chatterton wasn't. He'll gain a bit of time, but John Williams is going to gain time on both of them, because when he comes in, he'll have clean air and he'll be able to maximise that pit entry.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that is going to pan out, but halfway already through the race, so just 25 minutes left to go here. This is fascinating now. Also, have you noticed, Ewan, that we're not seeing anywhere near the same number of mistakes that we saw in the first race? So I wonder also if it's either maybe a lack of practice for the drivers, or either the track conditions have significantly changed.
I can't really put my finger on quite why that is. It's a strange phenomenon though, because they have got more fuel as well, which you wouldn't have thought plays into their hands particularly. But there we are. Stuart Reynolds making his way out then. There you can see him at the top of your screen, making the long way around. He will be on the inside at turn 2 here. Outside for Dilworth, and he just about makes it work there. That was very close between the two. I think what we can tell from that is that there was almost no difference at all. Reynolds' pit stop was actually 1 second longer there. So what we can tell from that is overall in-lap, out-lap and pit stop time pretty much adds up to exactly the same amount of time for those two.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that it now leaves him right, in front of that car that he really doesn't have to worry about too much before now. So Stuart Reynolds absolutely on it, and Jason Dilworth really is going to have his work cut out trying to defend that position. I mean, they're down in 12th and 13th right now, but now we're starting to see the pit stops come in. So our leader at the moment, John Williams, who hasn't actually pitted yet. Yeah, this is all playing out nicely, I think, for the guys that are choosing to pit nice and early.
It certainly is, but then again, John Williams is out in clean air. It's likely that Dilworth and Reynolds either fight with each other or find traffic along the way. We'll wait and see. Thomas Pugh is in from Pro-Am as well. You'd expect him to come out behind the likes of Lewis Boubier, who's had to just overtake Carl Pearce there. And maybe that's halted him a little bit, as we're watching Taylor Lane on the back of Harry Wills right now. Wills goes deep in towards turn 5, holds on to it for now, and will be under pressure towards turn 6 and 7 here, down at the bottom of the hill. There will be no way through. These two very much isolated in this group right now, and even coming up on a bit of lap traffic.
Yeah, they certainly are, and that's not exactly what you want to have, but it's just inevitable. You're always going to, chance of coming across some lap traffic at this point, but Taylor Lane desperately trying to get past here as we come back to what I think is going to be the lead battle here. Stuart Reynolds, oh my God, just sent it over the curbs there. Didn't really cost him some time, but that car is properly airborne there.
It certainly was. That was quite unbelievable, quite remarkable. It's going to be interesting to see what these two do. Are they going to be getting drawn into fighting with each other, or are they going to agree that it's better to stay behind one another at this stage and overtake Williams and then deal with each other later on? It's a pretty important decision to be made here, but Reynolds might not have much choice right now, because out the gate Dilworth just seemed to look that little bit quicker.
Well, that's exactly what we're watching unfold here. Meanwhile, Stuart Brynas and Marcel Breitenbach in Pro-Am fight as well, just 0.4 of a second between them. That's a brilliant thing. But Am has just washed out completely, because what a race so far for Paulinus, because he is doing a grand job of holding on to the lead of the AMs as Jorn Paulinus.
He certainly has. Simon Ruler has come in actually for a 23-second pit stop there. It's a bit long. And so he has dropped behind Tony van der Linden, for example. Well, he hasn't pitted yet, that's why. He's the first AM driver to pit, indeed, is Simon van Ruler. So there we are. That explains an awful lot. This battle, though, for Pro-Am honours is an interesting one. Stuart Reiners and Marcel Breitenbach still haven't been caught, partly because of Francois Perdreau, who's holding back Jim Breitenbach right now and was holding back everybody earlier on. But I think these two might well be wondering and watching to see where Louis Boubier ends up at the end of all of this, because right now, of the 4 drivers who are pitted, Louis Boubier is nearly 3 seconds in front of all of them.
Yeah, and doing a grand job, isn't he, just now, as we well and truly over the halfway point of this race. So, Ewan, we're now starting to see the pit stops coming into effect here. We've had what I think is, let's have a quick look here. I think we're still under half of the field having pitted right now. Do you think it's too early to see how this is going to pan out? Or do you think that the likes of Jason Dilworth and Stuart Reynolds, are they actually slowing each other down right now? Oh, to be fair, actually, just to give context on that, Dilworth's just done his personal best lap last time round.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a little bit concerned about John Williams here in terms of his pace right now, because he's been caught by Kai DL. And I don't know whether that was a single mistake that is now being punished, or whether it's something more natural, as now Taylor Lane is in front of Harry Wills. That's took quite some time for the championship leader to manage, but he has done finally. Wills getting very close through the chicane, but keeping it on the road and still 4th place.
Good move there, nice and clean for Taylor Lane, and he's, let's say, really gelling with that car. It's great to see, because it's been mixed fortunes in the WSL for Taylor Lane over the past couple of seasons, as Williams is absolutely going for it, but DL into pit lane, so Williams still holds on to that lead.
So that's the 3rd driver of 8 in Pro to compromise themselves by pitting when there's someone in front of them, and I don't quite understand that really, when you've got so big of a window around this circuit. Nearly half an hour in here with Harry Wills joining him in the pit lane. So that leaves only 3 of the pros to pit yet. Williams, Lane and Linbo all to come in. And with just over half an hour gone, you'd expect those pit stops to be very, very soon.
Certainly would here, as Jason Dilworth then still having to hold off Stuart Reynolds for this pro battle. Now this is where we need to see, because where is everyone else going to come out? I think that Kai DL coming out very, very early, but he's way too far back, I think, to be in this. But I think he's still significantly closer than he was earlier on.
I agree, yeah, he definitely is. There he is out the pit lane. Well, that's maybe not as close as I thought. You have to go such a long way around that gravel trap. It really does lose you quite a lot of time as you're exiting pit lane around here at Zolder. But there we are, same for everybody. And Cardiel back into the race in 6th place, quite some distance ahead of Chris Chatterton in 7th, and Harry Wills in 8th at the moment as well. End of the lap, end of another lap for John Williams, end of lap 21, and with less than 20 minutes to go. This is going to be a pit stop for him very, very shortly, you'd imagine. It won't be this time. He goes over the line to complete another lap and start another lap. It's a 1:28.8 for him on that last lap. Stuart Reynolds, for example, did a 1:27.9 on that last lap, which is quite a remarkable lap time, really. It does show that maybe Williams is being caught and overhauled by these two.
Well, it does, but also what we're going to have to remember is that he's going to have to take in less fuel, so he's going to have a shorter pit stop here.
Let's have a look at what's been happening to Mark Fleming here in the last couple of moments. This is at the final corner, he's in the grass, and he's going to be going around into the wall. Oh dear, hefty contact with the wall as well. He is now back to pit lane. Becomes our 2nd retirement of the day, with Archie Lands also retiring, I believe, from this race, but only 2, still 28 of the 30 starters in the race. Am leader Jon Polonus is into the pit lane as the Pro-Am lead continues on, and also, continues to rage, really. Stuart Rhinus versus Marcel Brettenbach, but once again, there's worries here about those who have already stopped. A 29.9 from Rhinus on that last lap. Lewis Boubier, a second quicker than that. It's possible that Boubier actually comes out of the pit stop phase in the lead.
Well, that's going to be interesting. And again, this is why I love this second race in WSL, because it gives us something that the first one doesn't have in terms of this extra little bit of spice, this pit stop strategy. Now, I love to build it up, and 8 out of 10 times it absolutely does nothing. It's not as much of a mix-up as we want it to be. But yeah, I think this is. So Taylor Lane into pits as well. So yeah, this is fascinating stuff.
So this is the problem now for Jason Dilworth and Stuart Reynolds, and this is maybe why John Williams has kept the faith. They were going to come up on Pro-Am traffic, but it's all come into pit lane, so that's become a non-thing all of a sudden. And Jason Dilworth and Stuart Reynolds have got a bit lucky there, really, because they weren't really slowed down in the end by it at all. Taylor Lane also does indeed make his stop. He's out after 15 seconds stopped, and he'll be out in 6th place, probably ahead of Chris Chatterton, although it's going to be close. And maybe Chatterton will get in front. Here is Lewis Boubier, and this is the moment now in the Pro-Am field. All of the AMs also coming in here, so we're going to have a moment for Jon Polonus coming up very soon as well. But what about Lewis Boubier? Out of the final corner, there's Stuart Rhinus only making his way down the pit lane right now. He's still got to go all the way around the outside of turn number 1 here and slot back in front of the BMW out on circuit at the moment to retain his lead. Boubier comes through the opening corner. There is the moment. There is the BMW coming out the pit lane. Rhinus has come out with the lead, but it is a narrow one.
Whoa, that was awesome stuff there. And it looks like Jerome Slates has done the jump on Jon Polonus. In fact, no, Polonus keeps on to the lead of the AM battle as well, as here we go, side by side between Stuart Reynolds and Jason Dilworth. Oh my lord, this is well, John Williams into pits now, so here we go. This is the moment we've been waiting for.
This is the moment that will define the race. Just more than quarter of an hour remaining. John Williams right at the end of pit lane, getting service right now with Jason Dilworth and Stuart Reynolds battling away. Williams underway already. He might well hold on to the lead here. I think we're going to have 3 for the lead as Williams exits the pit lane right into the path of these guys. Reynolds doesn't know that yet. He's looking for the outside. They do get through. Dilworth and Reynolds, the pace of those two was just about enough. John Williams down to 3rd here, and Dilworth now at the front looking to take 2 wins out of 2.
Yeah, but the problem is Dilworth is holding up Reynolds right now, and that's going to allow John Williams to get back up to this little gaggle of cars here. Also, don't discount Kai DL. He's now only a second back there. No, tell me it wasn't what I think we just missed. No, I'm not. I don't have any alcohol left now, Ewan, because of that bet that YouTube was wanting us to do earlier on. To be fair, that's I think that's the first incident we've seen tonight with Harry.
It's first one in race 2.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, this race.
Yes, yeah. I understood. Oh goodness, this is quite a battle. Jason Dilworth on the defensive again. Stuart Reynolds is so late on the brakes though. Down in towards the turn 9. He's side by side. He's still got the inside line going into the final chicane here. And one of the Ferraris in front has got a real predicament here. Side by side they'll go. Dilworth on the brakes earlier. Reynolds too late on the brakes there, surely. He's going to be brought through the final corner. Although Dilworth just gets the slide out the final turn. And John Williams will catch up. So will Kai DL. We're 4 for the lead now as lap traffic gets out of the way. Stuart Reynolds, though, so late on the brakes. He was able to pull it up in time. And now he's got the lead.
Well, that was interesting, wasn't it, kiddos? Listen, Stuart Reynolds, he's showed the pace that he's had all the way through there, forces Dilworth into making a mistake there, and with just 14 minutes left to go in the race, that is, I don't often over-exaggerate things. Well, that's a lie, I quite often do. But I think that is probably the pivotal moment in the race. I cannot see now Stuart Reynolds getting caught out with that.
Well, absolutely. I think he'll be. Well, I'll say, we say that.
Yeah, say that. He's right on his tail. What's
I
that?
do agree, but Dilworth is right there even now. When we're looking on board with John Williams, he is right there as well, as is Kai DL. And Williams and DL back together again for the first time since their contact in race 1, which will be an interesting one. It's free for the lead in Pro-Am as well. We didn't see too many leading battles in race 1, but we're making up for it in race 2 with 2 commencing here inside the final 15 minutes.
Yeah, this is awesome. That battle for Pro-Am, Linus Boubier and Timothy van der Broek, all, you know, within what, as you said, about a second of each other. Sorry, Stuart Linus Boubier and van der Broek, all within about 0.6 of a second, 0.8 of a second. That's wild. But the pro battle, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting Reynolds to just tear off into sunset. But here's the thing. I wonder if Reynolds is maybe having to just take it easy for the fuel a little bit here.
Maybe. It's a consideration because, of course, this is.
Well, actually, I was just jumping in. Sorry, Ewan. It doesn't make sense because he pitted actually a lap later than Jason Dilworth and was in a second longer as well. So maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, really. It all depends, really, how much fuel they put in at the actual stop and whatever. There could still be fuel worries, but I think it's just a pace thing at the moment. Dilworth looking up the inside, but once again, you're not going to outbrake Stuart Reynolds, as we've seen so far. The Lamborghini clearly can go deeper into these braking zones, and that's really helping in the actual battles.
Oh, this is awesome stuff here. You get the feel this is bubbling up just to some wild finish here. It reminds me a lot of the NASCAR that I was watching last night from Talladega, where you know, we had a crazy final 3-lap dash for the cash, and all of the leaders, top 6, top 7 cars were split by about half a second, by a second, and it was like 5th place, the car that was in 5th place that actually won the race here. And you know, I look at Kai DL and I'm like, yeah, you've definitely got the opportunity here to make some big points tonight.
So they all have at this moment. Stuart Ryder still in the lead here in Pro-Am, and still got 10 minutes remaining. He'll be wishing that clock away right now, and wishing the time away, because Louis Boubier is all over him right now, and still applying that pressure into the final corner. We can't forget about Timothy van der Broek, who's there as well. Marcel Breitenbach lost a bit of time in the pit stop phase, and so has dropped to 4th, but Dean Sims is not even that far away in 5th place right now as well. Pro-Am feeling very close, as it is for the overall win as well. Stuart Reynolds still has enough for the moment. Boubier behind and not looking up the inside at turn 2, as I thought he might have given a go. He'll stay behind. He'll bide his time, and clearly he's confident because he's not rushing this move by any means.
I've no idea how this is going to pan out. It is starting to calm down a little bit, but I wonder if this is just them waiting for their opportunity. For me, the fire or the flashpoint is going to come with the Pro-Ams with Linus Boubier and Van der Broek. The problem for these drivers right now, Ewan, is the fact that they want to make sure that if they get the move done, there's no opportunity for the cars behind to get something else done here. And indeed, you've seen that now with Reynolds now opening up about half a second over Jason Dilworth and John Williams here. So needs to get a move at that. Looks very deep from Dilworth. That's going to be Williams round the outside possibly. No, tries to cut to the inside. Listen, that is Stuart Reynolds laughing all the way to the bank right now.
Absolutely, he will be having quite the lead at the end of the first sector here. Dilworth now under pressure from his teammate. Williams right behind. Kai DL there as well. And those two, of course, let's not forget, came to contact in race 1. DL backing off on the way towards the Klein chicane. Williams, though, missing the... Well, he did all right in the end, actually. The Lamborghini, though, thrown across the curbs. Just that little bit more. Will there be a dive here from DL? If he wants serious positions in this race, he'll have to do it quite quickly. It looks like he's going to bide his time a little bit more and maybe take the little bit of a nicer line through turn 7 for the run around turn 8, and then maybe for 9. He'll be in the slipstream, looks to the outside. Will he fake it and go to the inside? John Williams saw it coming, and so DL will have to go for the exit for the next corner instead, and the battle will go on and on and on. He won't be able to get through on this lap by the looks of things.
He's going to keep trying, though. That's the great thing about it. And you've got to wonder if Dale can get past John Williams. Is he going to be able to make anything happen with Jason Tilworth just up in front as we cut back to this Pro-Am battle? They've been very polite right now, haven't they? They're not really making any moves here. Is that a car stopped on the left-hand side there? Oh, right, okay. Well, let's not just... Can we broadcast direction? Can we just move away from that car and never speak of this night again?
Stuck in the wall. I can hear him
Yeah,
trying to reverse out. He's stuck in the wall there. As Eva van der Linden makes quite the dive on Francois Peugeot down into turn 9 there. There's a bit of aggression between these two right now. Van der Linden, of course, fighting to keep his points lead at the moment. Inside line at the final chicane. He's not going to be able to manage that one quite. But he will have the run out of the corner instead for a run maybe in towards turn 1. We'll wait and see. Let's dwell a bit more on Harry Will, shall we? For a few moments here. Sounds like quite a big accident, as it turns out. Through turn 8. Oh dear. Slams into the wall there in quite a big way. Gets himself in the wall there and can't get out again. I mean, it's a classic Harry Will setup, isn't it? Because it's right on the ragged edge and over it, unfortunately, on occasion as well.
I thought you meant into the wall. Yeah, that is a pretty classic Harry Will setup right there. But yeah, like it's go hard or go home. I guess I can fault the guy for it because he just goes hard for about 10 laps and then just goes home. Yeah. But the thing is, you can't fault him for it. I mean, he gives us all every single race, and he's bloody entertaining to watch. It's really, really good, and yeah, fair play to him.
Yeah, I wasn't saying classic Harry Will being in the wall. I meant the oversteery setup was very much him.
Though.
Yeah, I know. Outside line for Bouvier here on Stuart Winus, and maybe Timothy Vanderbroek wants a piece of this. Inside line at turn 9, my word, that was close between them as they went through the little left-right at turn 10, and now the final chicane. Bouvier on the inside line again, and maybe he'll start to realise he doesn't have all the time in the world here. Needs to get on with this because Timothy Vanderbroek wants to challenge for the lead as well.
Well, that's I did think this was going to get spicy. Do you remember all of 3 minutes ago when I said this Pro-Am battle was very restrained and they weren't actually making any moves here? Hang on, now wait, we've got a 5-car battle for the lead here. This is... Wait, what?
Well, it was 2 at the time. They've taken quite a surprisingly long time to actually get going here in the Pro-Ams, but they certainly are going now once they've started. Kai DL still right behind John Williams here, by the way, as Jason Dilworth looks like he's got too much for them and will finish second. Stuart Reynolds still with quite a lead at the moment, although he is coming up on some lap traffic in this race now. There's still 22 cars on the lead lap overall, and Jerome Reigns is going to be put a lap down to the overall leader very soon. You would imagine so, anyway, as they begin another lap. 5 minutes to go, 4 laps to go remaining in this race. Dean Timms has found himself off the road there ever so briefly, and he drops down from 5th to 6th in the huge Pro-Am battle. Thomas Pugh now inside the top 5 after finishing last in race 1. It's quite a battle down there. Somebody, by the way, reaching the off-track limit and finding themselves with a drive-through. I'm not sure who that is. I didn't catch the name, but somebody's Lindmo is getting close to the limit at the moment. So that's something to worry about as well. It's pretty easy to run off the circuit in the Zolders, to be fair. There's not much run up, and so off-tracks, I'd imagine, are quite easy to come by.
You would think so, and yet here we are with only the one car that's approaching it. I think just going back to that pro battle, that seems to have fizzled out a little tiny bit. KDL really onto it as Timothy Van Brick goes a little bit wide. KDL is onto the back of John Williams, but I think Jason Tilworth looks a little bit safe there, and certainly Stuart 2.5 seconds up the road. That's yeah, I'd be relieved to be in that position at this point in time. But that Pro-Am battle, not a Scooby Ewan about how that is going to end. Lewis Bouvier to enter the second behind Stuart Winus, Timothy Vanderbroek. You've got Marcel Breitenbach, you've got Dean Timms and Thomas Pugh all in there. So that is and Marcel Breitenbach into the wall.
Oh, such a shame. Right from the middle of the pack there in Pro-Am. Marcel Breitenbach has found the wall, and he'll also find the other Breitenbach as well here in the bit of a battle for 6th place. It's slightly depopulated the front of the Pro-Am order, so maybe this will help Louis Boubier just a little bit as they come to 3 laps to go. That's very wide from Winers. He just about kept it off the grass, which really would have ruined his run on the front straight. He keeps it in towards turn 1, and this is quite the defensive drive now from Winers. It's turning into that anyway. Let's have a quick look here about what happened to Marcel Breitenbach. It could be very similar to Harry Wills. It's quite oversteered from the start and just grazes the wall more than anything.
Well, that was a very unusual. I mean, I'd understand if the car was further out to the left, but yeah, I mean that car was pretty decided on its fate before it even got into the corner, I think there. Right, Timothy van der Broek onto the back end here of Louis Boubier. Doesn't really get a great exit through that chicane. Boubier now in no man's land. He's trying so hard to catch up and stay with the back end of Stuart Winus here, but yeah, just a minute and a half left to go in this race. I obviously see that that Pro-Am battle eking out just now between the 3 cars there, and again DL right onto the back of Williams as well here. So yeah, we've been treated to a fantastic race here tonight, Ewan.
Certainly have. It's been very entertaining indeed, and it's not over yet either. 2 laps to go at the line for these drivers. The pro field already onto their penultimate lap at the moment, and here they are in towards the Client chicane. Jason Dilworth keeps going away and coming back to these 2, John Williams and Kai DL, who are still fighting for the bottom step on the podium right now. At least, yeah, they are just about going to get round in time for to start one more. They're around the back half of the circuit now, and so there will be one more lap to squeeze out of this one, and a few more chances for Cardiel, who's been threatening John Williams for quite some time. He's very close now, outside line at turn 9. He won't try and go all the way around there, instead the better exit and go for it at the final corner. It's not really worked. He didn't really get the run that he wanted.
Yeah, that was great awareness there from that car in front. It just set it in the middle of the road and just eased itself off onto the accelerator as Louis Boubier under real pressure right now from Timothy van der Broek. A little bit of a nudge there, side by side, and right the outside. You're kidding me. What a move from Timothy van der Broek.
It's not over. Still side by side through turn 8, and this is allowing Winers to drive away with this, but it's still side by side for second. A fantastic battle. Van der Broek on the inside this time. It's Boubier who breaks late, maybe too late, but they're still level on the exit of the corner. Thomas Pugh looks on in awe almost. Doesn't know where to go. Into the final chicane they'll go though. Boubier's on the inside. He'll break later. He'll take second, but only briefly. He's going to have a poor run onto the front straight. Van der Broek tries to get the run. He won't quite manage it. And Thomas Pugh will try and get in on this as well now.
Yeah, my voice is going to be absolutely done after this one. What a finish this race. Let's go. You saw Barney the flagman in the background, white flag in the air. And what has happened actually to Thomas Pugh, because round the outside, that was inspired for Dean Timms. Can't quite finish it off, but it's going to be right there. Oh, very close. And this is just an awesome finish to this race. What great respect, what great racecraft from these drivers here.
Absolutely fantastic. Stuart Reynolds out the final corner. He will win race 2 at Zolder by some seconds in the end. As these races go on, he just gets faster and faster. Jason Dilworth holds on to second for a very good evening as John Williams and Kai Diel round out the top 4. There's been drama back in Pro-Am though. Stuart Winus is going to take this by the looks of things, but Timothy van der Broek has been off the road somewhere and he's had problems, I'm afraid to say. Louis Boubier will hold on to second here. Dean Timms will probably be on third as well. But what about the rest of them? Thomas Pugh was certainly involved. He's now in a fight with the 2 Breitenbachs for what is 4th place in the order right now. To the final corner comes Stuart Winus though. Quite gingerly, it must be said. He will make it out. Oh, will he? It's pretty ginger indeed, but he will just about make it over the line in time. He will win the Pro-Am category just ahead of Louis Boubier. and it will be Dean Timms in the third place, and a right big battle for fourth place, rounded out by Marcel Breitenbach, and not far behind, Jorn Polinus takes the AM win, just showing you how much those Pro-Am drivers were fighting. The AM drivers were very much catching at the end of that race.
Yeah, brilliant job there from everyone, all involved. Great win there for Reynolds, for Linus, and for Jorn Polinus. Polinus, actually, we didn't really speak much about, but that was a dominant performance there. 10-second lead. Let's see what happened then to Van Broek. It's self-inflicted. Just clipped it over that curb there. We saw him do it many times there, and it's just caught him out. And of all the places to do, or all the laps to do it,
he will be furious with himself after that. Absolutely furious. But what a race that was. Let's take a look at the results at the end of 50 minutes of racing around here at Zolder. And then no doubt as to who the race winner was by the end of that one, by 6 seconds. Stuart Reynolds making it over the line with plenty of time to spare at the end of that one. And he wins by 6 seconds. Ahead of Jason Dilworth, John Williams and KDL battled to the line as well. Chris Chadson with another top 5. Tyler Lane and Hakan Limbo battled to 6th right to the end. Harry Wills finishing 6 laps down in the end. But he will get points for his efforts today. In the Pro-Am field, it will be Stuart Winers who put on one of the defensive drives of the season, and quite a slow last lap as well, to win this one ahead of Louis Bouvier. Then it was Dean Timms and Marcel Breitenbach who headed a right old train for 4th. Thomas Pugh, Jim Breitenbach and Ivo van der Linden all involved within it. Francois Perdreau 8th, that of Timothy van der Broek. Simon Dodd and Mark Fleming never saw the checkered flag. Down there in the AM category, it was Jorn Polinus who put on a start-to-finish victory ahead of James Slates, Kevin Hornacker, the third with Sam Van Ruler, the final driver on the lead lap. Jonas Testimonen, Jeroen Reins, Tony van der Linden and Matthias de Groot were all lapped by the overall leader. Carl Pearce loses points today, once again finishing down in 9th with Lorenzo de Hoor and Archie Lands rounding out your AM drivers for race 2. Well, what a Pro-Am race in particular that was. And we'll talk to the Pro-Am winner right now, Stuart Winers, who joins us. Stuart, welcome to the booth. Good to have you here. That was an amazing race to watch. How was it to be involved in there at the front of that pack?
Good evening, guys. Yeah, absolute sweating buckets here. When I took the lead, I was okay, right, I'll see if I can get a gap, but nope. But then came out the pits and Lucius straight on me. I was like, right, I'm just going to try and drive normal, stop looking in the mirrors, just try and drive a normal race.
And I've got to ask as well, because we were commenting on this about pressure and how it can get to you. How difficult is it to just focus forwards when you've got, I mean, at Wolfstairs, there were 5 or 6 of them behind you?
Yeah, it's quite hard. It is really hard to concentrate on just going forward, and you have a quick check of the relative, quick check of the mirrors, just to see where they are. Especially if you make a mistake going to a corner, you've just kind of got to look to where you can park the car to the next corner to save them having a run at you. So yeah, it's quite hard, like.
It certainly was. But congratulations on the win here tonight, Stuart. Well deserved, of course, and thanks very much for coming to have a chat with us.
Cheers, thanks. See you later, guys.
Thanks very much. Stuart Winers there, winner in Pro-Am, just ahead of Louis Bouvier, who also joins us now. Louis, welcome to the booth as well. That was quite a race. 2nd place for you in the end in race 2. Just tell us how difficult it was to make that overtake here in the latter portion of that race.
Oh, it was a very difficult race. Starting from reverse grid pole, especially around Zolder, very hard to overtake. Early on, got caught up in traffic, just couldn't get past anyone. Had a little bit of damage just from a bit of argy-bargy earlier in the race, but nothing wrong there. So I decided to pull the undercut of all undercuts and pitted as early as I could. I think a few people follow-suited the next couple of laps, but I was already a good portion ahead of them, so I got past Dean Timms and Timothy, for instance, and then I just kept the pace up. I also had to do a lot of fuel saving because I massively underfueled, but coming out overall 2nd, I just couldn't get past Stuart. He did a fantastic job at defending, and anytime he did make a mistake, I was on the wrong line, which meant Timothy could have a go at me, so I had to do a lot of defending as well. So great battling all over the field there.
Yeah, it was all very difficult. But just quickly as well, what was race one like a little bit earlier on? Because you obviously won that one. Made your life in race two pretty difficult, but it must have been nice to take race one. How was that one?
Race one was great. Started from pole, got a good start, got a bit of a gap, started to increase the gap. Then I came up on some slow pros who might have had damage or something, so the gap disappeared. Got past the pros, then more pros, lost the gap, and then eventually I got into a bit clean air and I could really show my pace and cruise to that one. So I was very happy with race one.
Absolutely. Lewis, congratulations on a successful evening in all, and thanks very much for chatting to us.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much, Lewis Bouvier. First in race one, second in race two. Well, David, that's just about going to do it for us here tonight at Zolder. I have to say, it was always, to me, looking like a difficult circuit on paper to see good racing around here because of how narrow it is, how difficult to overtake. However, it really provided for us.
It absolutely did, didn't it? And like you said, I mean, we were thinking it was going to be very difficult, very narrow, and, you know, quite a processional race. My God, were we surprised with that. Absolutely awesome. We shouldn't really be surprised. I mean, it's WSL. We get this sort of action week in, week out, which is why we love being part of it and doing commentary. And listen, it's been an absolute honour for me to kind of jump in and be a guest, obviously, from doing the broadcast side of it last year. It's so great to see these names still in there and still, as we would say up in Scotland, Ewan, giving it absolute laldy.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, it's been great to be alongside you once again, David, and thanks very much for joining us over the last few weeks or so. But unfortunately, Zach is back next week, so there you are. You'll have to
I'm going to tell him you said, unfortunately.
Yes, we'll. Well, it's fine. I'll deal with him. Of course, it isn't next week. It is 2 weeks' time when we have our week off. We are at the halfway point now in this season. When we return, we'll be at Monza for a very similar one to this sprint race, and then a bit of a longer race coming your way in a couple of weeks' time. Make sure you stick around, though. In a few hours' time, the US version of this championship will be getting underway, so make sure you join it for that as well. But for now, it's time for us to sign off. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside David Christie with Danny Costello behind the cameras. And until we see you in 2 weeks' time for that race at Monza, goodbye for now.